What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late to Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be just giving our flowers to a team, or I guess a specific individual who plays on a bad team that doesn't get much attention, and that individual is none other than Alperen Şengün. Before we get into that, guys, I have to give a quick shout out to Mal Miller. He was 100% correct. Not only did Larry continue to dominate, dropping 27 points and 13 boards, but the Jazz caught their 7th win of the season. If you guys want a chance to show off your opinions or hot takes, be sure to subscribe and turn on the post notifications so you can get notified whenever the polls or prompts get posted, and you guys can get your shot at a shout out. For those of you who have been tuned into this channel for the last couple of months, you'd remember I made a video titled something along the lines of "These 3 Western Conference teams needed help," something like that. There will be a pop-up on the screen, and in that video we discussed 3 teams. It was the bottom 3 teams in the Western Conference, and when we talked about the Rockets, talked about none other than Alperen Şengün. My main points were that he only played 20 minutes a game, but we liked what we saw. He had Hakeem and Jokic-like tendencies, and he did all the little things in the short spurts of playing times that he'd get, like boxing people out and finding the cutting man. He had a great dribble handoff game going, and he always took high percentage looks. Well, now fast forward to today, and you see this year he's starting to get a little bit more PT, and I know it's still a small sample size, he's averaging a very efficient, we'll round up to 17 and 10 with 2 assists and a block. Just makes you wonder why they don't play him 32 to 35 minutes a night and see what kind of potential is really here. I really feel like we're only scratching the surface. These stats, they can be taken with a grain of salt, again, because the season just started and the sample size is so small. But in the games where he's played 29.8 minutes or more, not even 30 minutes a game, he's averaging, we'll round up to 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists on 61% from the field. Amazing efficiency. I didn't show his 50% from 3 because he's only shot 2 for 4, and that's just too, that's too low. That's too, clickbaity. Stats aside, it's been so much fun to watch Şengün ball out this year, and I love to see that I'm starting to see not only the league, but I mean, to be fair, the commentators and most of the draft analysts do know a thing or two about Şengün. He has been kind of getting buzz for, I'd say, the last 18 months, but I'm just starting to see that NBA teams are realizing that they have to respect him, especially if he gets going. Last night during the Rockets game, if you guys watched it, they played the Timberwolves. It was the 3rd quarter and the Rockets were down by 14, but they were still doubling up on Şengün, and it was really kind of funny to me. I was laughing about it because the announcers just said, look at the respect.
Şengün, plenty of time though on this possession. They said 2 on Şengün. Look at the respect. Now to Green.
And it really needs to be shown because they know that if Şengün gets going on his own and playing his own game, it's a nightmare for the opposing defense because he's going to start tapping into all different parts of his bag. And even when he's not necessarily having a dominant night in his own offensive ability, he's creating and generating offense for his other teammates. He's able to get every single position involved with the dribble handoffs or even with the pick and roll with Jalen or Kevin. As for them, Jalen and Kevin, it's been a kind of a love-hate thing for me to watch. They make a lot of great highlight reel plays, but neither of them have taken that next step, and that's okay. They're still both very young, and I always give guards a lot of kind of leeway and breaks, I guess you'd say, when they first come into the league, because it is a very hard position to make that collegiate jump to the pros. But in that Rockets video I referenced in the beginning of this video, I did make a statement saying that I hoped one of the 2 of them, or I guess in the present tense, I was hoping that one of them would take a jump in playmaking ability and efficient playmaking ability, might I add. To be fair, aside from his poor or lackluster efficiency, Kevin Porter Jr. has been balling out this offseason. He definitely earned that contract. In my opinion, it was honestly kind of a steal because by year 2 or 3, I think Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be a complete monster, but that's a whole different video. Like I said, aside from his poor efficiency, Kevin, I am less concerned about than Jalen, which is kind of funny because if you remember when his career started in Cleveland, especially, Kevin, he was a problem child, a bit of a problem child, so to say. But it's Jalen, like I said, that I am worried about. He's been both inefficient and somewhat reluctant to create for his teammates, as he's averaging a career low 2.2 assists on this year. Again, it's very early. That number could jump up to 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 this year. It's unpredictable. I don't doubt that he could have a swift turnaround, but I just feel like Jalen is very media induced. He is just what a young NBA prospect looks like these days. I'm not trying to get on anyone's head, and I'm not trying to, make statements and judgments of another grown man's life that I know nothing about. But I will just say this is kind of what I think it looks like when a younger prospect starts to see the fame and the money, and he may just be more focused on living that fast life right now. Like you could see, I just mentioned when Kevin Porter first got into the league, he was living that fast, that crazy life. Just because it's what these younger people do. Like an 18 or 19-year-old person is not the same as an 18-year-old person that was drafted in the 80s, the 90s, even the 2000s, even the very beginning of the 2010s. And that's just the kind of big difference we see with social media. This, however, is not a video based on them or that topic, so we're back to Şengün. The biggest question I have for you guys and for myself, I guess, is what is the ceiling of a talent like Alperen Şengün? To me, it seems when we start to unveil or unravel the potential of an international or foreign prospect, it's almost as if we're scared to just say they can be a top 10 player until they just shove it right in your face. Like, how many times do I have to do this or prove it to you for me to get my flowers, for me to get my props? The person in most recent memory in my mind right now is Luka Doncic. When he was drafted, there was a lot of analysts saying that he would be great. There was a lot of them saying that he would be awful and that it was a huge mistake, and that the trade that they made for Trae Young, they should have held on to it. It's the same thing with guys like Giannis, Kristaps Porzingis, Nikola Jokic. Since talents like Dirk Nowitzki have entered into the world, it seems like every NBA franchise is dreaming, licking their chops in hopes that maybe they can get lucky enough to do research and draft accordingly. But I feel like none of them say it with their chest, and maybe that's to not temper expectations. I was just listening to JJ Redick's podcast the other night, and him and Joakim Noah were talking about how there's almost a benefit to falling out of the lottery, so you don't have all these expectations. And he might be right, but as basketball fans, as lovers of hoops, if you think someone, especially someone who's not known by the media, is talented beyond the norm or exceeding expectations that even you set for them, then you have to stake your claim and point and say it with your chest too. I'm not going to back down from a bad or poorly aging take, and I hope neither of you would do either. I mean, how do you think everyone felt in Portland when they drafted Anthony Bennett over KD and saw it unravel? It's okay though, because we're all human and we all make mistakes. And that being said, my floor and my absolute best of the best ceiling for Alperen Şengün, the floor is probably going to be somewhere along the lines of Pau Gasol. I know that's an insanely high floor. That's a floor with 2 NBA titles under it and multiple great other accolades, along with an amazing career both overseas and in America, along with just an incredibly put together game with much finesse and playmaking. Then his ceiling, it's just really hard to say. Names like Nikola Jokic come to my mind, but he's still competing and winning MVPs, and he could possibly win more championship and become even better and just improve his legacy. So we'll stick with the retired theme. I'd maybe say Hakeem Olajuwon or Tim Duncan. Again, I know these are both very bold ceilings, but he is immensely talented, and I think he will shock a lot of people. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys think Alperen Şengün's career will turn out. What's his ceiling going to be, or what's his floor going to be? If you made it this far, I appreciate you more than you know. As always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.